happy Friday, TGIF, and welcome to Rolling Out Rise Design and Dialogue event. I am your host, Jackie Clark, aka Is Well Connected. I am the founder of The Well Connected, which is a creative communications agency based in Toronto, and we specialize in sponsorship, presentations, and pitch decks. And today I'm joined with my sisters in sponsorship as we talk about the art of creative sponsorships and partnerships. So today, joining me on the virtual couch, I have Miss Lily Doxey, the founder of the Sponsorship Concierge, and she is a sponsorship consultant. And I have Miss Anovia Bedford, the founder of VetDeck. So welcome, ladies, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. This is a great connection, a great conversation that we're going to have today. I love how we've kind of transformed our relationship. It started on the Clubhouse streets, and now we are here on Rolling Out. So before we get into the juicy bits of our conversation today, I want to give an opportunity to both of you to let us know a little bit about you and your business in case people are watching and have some questions. So Lily, let's start with you. Tell us about Sponsorship Concierge.
Sure. So as Jackie mentioned, I am the founder of the Sponsorship Concierge, and that is a company that I created to kind of satisfy a need that I had. I came from the other side of sponsorship where I actually worked in corporate, where I actually gave out sponsorship. And I used to get a ton of decks that were like, not it. Us who work in sponsorship, we know like there's certain things that we look for. And when we get those kind of decks, it's harder for us to actually make a decision or even just pass by it and even just look at it and make sure that it's something that we actually want to participate in. So I saw there was a need for a lot of people who look like me, who didn't necessarily have the right access and didn't have the right tools to actually make a deck that made sense that I could present to leadership. So I used to pull people aside and be like, hey, let's figure this out and let's do this thing right here so I can actually present this. And it kind of blossomed into a business. And from there, I started doing it out of working on the other side of it. And it's just taken off from there. And that's exactly how I met Anovia.
Nice. And did you guys meet like on Clubhouse, or have you guys met in person? Like, are you guys friends in real, like in person?
The funny thing is we have never met in real life, but we're besties.
Love it.
In business.
Love it. Anovia, let us know about VetDeck. What is this about?
First, I'm going to let you know how your background is putting mine to shame, because my little leaves, y'all, they look really cute on my calls. I'm telling you. And Jackie came with a whole forest. And now I'm like, I got to go find some huge leaves too. I thought my little vines were saying something. No. You know, we're laughs all the time. Very similarly to Lily, I have a marketing background. I took a non-traditional path. I was a jewelry designer first for about 10 years. I designed mass market. Yeah, really random. For over 200 stores. So your Walmart, your Nordstroms, your Abercrombie and Fitch, all the big guys, and realized that I wasn't a really great designer, even though I performed really well. I was a much better marketer. So I took that piece along with, I worked for a production company, and sponsorship was one of the things that I did. And I kept asking people, like, do you know how to secure sponsorships? Like, do you know anything about sponsorship procurement? And time again, about 18 out of 20 people would say no. So I started it more agency style, where I pitched, created decks, and said, I want to learn more about this. So I took in-house roles in marketing. I was like, here's what I've done. You know, these are the brands that I've broken into the industry. And then that's when I started receiving all of the offer decks. And I was like, holy crap, this is so bad. Like, it's, you know, it's like you want to support people, but I can't even get to page 3. So that's when the deck was created. It was going to be more agency style, but as we grew, we turned into a full-scale tech company. And I met Lily last year. We were both speaking for the Prevailing Women Conference. I was talking about pitching and she was talking about decks, and like my company is VetDeck, so it's natural for me to talk about decks. And Sabrina, the owner of Prevailing Women, was like, stop, don't give any advice on decks. Lily Doxey is going to talk about that. And I was like, well, who is this Lily Doxey that I can't talk about it too? So I looked her up and I slid her DMs and I was like, you want to be my friend?
Yeah. I love it. I honestly, I love the connection. So backtracking a little bit, this green wall is fake, and my friend gave me these, and I have it's hard to see, but I have a neon sign back here. My sister got it for my birthday. Thank you. But the whole concept for this wall is I'm in my, I love to, it's in my room. So, and I have one that it goes all the way over to my bed as well. So the goal behind it is while I'm dreaming and sleeping, I'm planting ideas and they're blossoming. So it's hard to see, there are little flowers. So every time I achieve a goal, the flowers go up to encompass one of my goals. And so it's also interesting you talked about design, because I actually have a fashion design background. I went to school to be a bridal designer. So I know how to sew. I know how to design. Want to be, live my best Disney princess life, and then fell into PR through my fashion program and then figured out Dex later on. So it's interesting how we all kind of fell into this world. So thank you both for the backstory. So now jumping into the juicy bits of what people want to know. Everyone's heard the term and terminology sponsorship and partnerships, but what is the difference? If there is, in your own words, and anyone can start, what is the difference between partnerships and sponsorships? Or if there is one?
I was muted because all of a sudden today is the day that they what do they do? Like mow the lawn? I was like, what's going on? But I love the story behind that wall. Mine is I had this little silly window and I didn't have anything to do with it. And I had these vines. So now I'm like, I'm going to add some flowers when things come to fruition. So yeah, I love that.
Yes. So go ahead, Lily.
Yeah, I feel like we talked about this on one of our rooms, which is it was a conversation talking about just what's the difference between sponsorship and partnership. I see sponsorship as almost like a transaction. So X person has an event, they get $10,000 for the event. That's it. Partnership, I see it's more where both parties have a little bit of insight and impact on building what that partnership looks like. So if I partner with one company for my event, that company has a say in what happens. I have a say in what happens, and together we make something. It's more in the word partner. It's actually you're working together to do something. Whereas sponsorship, I feel like it's more transactional. It's not as personal. Even though that's the word most of us use, but I think ultimately people generally want partnerships and not necessarily sponsorships, but
I agree.
Yeah, it's definitely transactional, and partnerships usually form when two companies are coming together to form something new or to expand on something, right? So if you want to release a new product or have a new, Sephora does a good job of it, right? They activate in stores, and those are partnerships. Or if two people Beyond Meat and Pepsi are doing a good job of that now, coming together for a partnership to make something new. So it's kind of way more 50-50, where sponsorship is I'm having this thing, sponsor it, you'll get a little bit, but partnership is you are full in.
Yes, I love that. And that's true, because I do get a lot of people that think partnership and sponsorship is the same thing. And I'm like, there is a huge difference between the two. At the end of the day, it is a very similar transaction, but there's different, I would say, responsibilities and like you guys were saying, for each. And so it is very important to understand the difference of a sponsorship and a partnership, and then identify what it is that you are looking for. And partnerships are greater for long lead and long-term capabilities, because you want to build relationships with these brands to have, again, not just a one-time transaction, but a 4 or 5 or 6 time transaction. So with sponsorships, we all know that there's many types of sponsorships that you could have, but what are the types of sponsorships out there?
So there is monetary sponsorship, which of course is give me the bag, give me the coins. There's in-kind sponsorship, which is a lot of product. There's venue sponsorship, where you can have your place to host your event. There's press sponsorships and partnerships where, you can use them to get the word out about your event. You can basically get any and everything sponsored. If you have an event, that sponsorship looks different than if you're running educational workshops or series, or say you're a massage company and you get sponsored to, use massage oils. So it can look like many different things, depending on what the situation is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I wanted to ask that question, because a lot of people think sponsorship is just one thing, and they don't realize that there's many areas and levels of sponsorship. And one of the biggest levels of sponsorship, in my opinion, that everyone is after is monetary sponsorship. It's probably the biggest one next to product. Product could probably come either, depending on the person, it could be either or. But in my opinion, I feel everybody's looking to get that sponsorship coin. So what, so what tips would you give someone looking to collect that sponsorship coin? How can they go about getting the dollars, where the money reside?
Do your research.
Girl, I was saying the same thing.
Do your research, right? So the most important thing, because I mean, it starts from square one, right? People email us, hit us up. I want sponsorship for my such and such, and we're like, okay, great. Is your company incorporated? No. Do you have insurance? No. Okay, so you got to run your business first, right? You got to do your thing. You got to get skin in the game. And you have to do your research, because everyone wants the Google and the Coca-Colas and the Airbnbs. But right now, you really just need to be going down to, like, Ralph's that has ices in your neighborhood and asking for 50 for your event. And Ralph's make good Italian ices. And, and starting off small, right? So coming up with a strategy and doing your research to find that fit, because just because a company has money does not mean that they're a fit for your project.
Absolutely. Lily?
Definitely. That goes into like actually knowing who your audience is, because just because you have event that you saw was similar to another one doesn't mean the same people are attending, doesn't mean the same people like the same thing. So it's super important, like, even when you're doing that research your own business, research your own audience. Like, if you're running something, who are you marketing to? Who are you even talking to? What do they like? What makes them happy? How much money do they spend at certain places? What's their income look like? These things are important because it determines whether you have an audience fit for a potential sponsor. Because if you're presenting them an audience that has nothing to do with anything they want, what's the reason for them even sponsoring you?
Absolutely. And, it also comes down to what value do you offer? What is unique about your brand or the event that you have, something that can benefit a brand or sponsor? Because it's not all about, I just have this unique thing. How do you be what's what I'm looking for? You have to also be a solution to a problem for a sponsor. You got to give them something as well. So always think about what solution you provide, or what unique value, what unique audience or activation you have that can be of benefit to a brand or partner. So and over the years of just doing this for so long, looking at decks, talking to sponsors, you really realize sponsors don't care anymore about a logo on a wall and, a quick social media post. They want to activate, they want data, they want things that are tangible that they can see and use to produce their own results. So what are you able to give them? So what are the tools that someone needs to pitch for sponsorship? What tools does a person need? Like, because we talked earlier about pitch decks, because all three of us do them. What is a pitch deck? Because a lot of people don't know what they be. So what kind of, right? So let's talk about that. What is a pitch deck?
To me, I think we have to separate a deck from a sponsorship deck, because pitch deck sometimes I think of when you're like VC type of angel investing type of thing, it's a different ball game. Yep. Yes, some of the information is going to be the same, but a pitch deck when you're looking to like get investors and things like that is going to be way different than when you're giving a sponsorship deck. But something that's going to be similar in both is the data points. So data points are going to be super important, because you can have all the beautiful language you want, but if the numbers aren't talking and the math is not mathing, it's not going to hit for them. So I think one of the important things is to have your numbers and actually know it. So when you do get a chance to get a call with them, or you do get that email with them, you have that data to back up and give like a proof point. Say like, hey, let's say, for example, it's an event that you've done before. We've done this event before. Here were the results. Here are our numbers. Here's what it looks like. And this is what the potential results could be for you. Those are things that you want to have in your back pocket. So when a sponsor starts thinking about where they're going to be giving their money to, they can figure out, okay, my return on investment is going to come from here, because look at what they've done before. So I think both of us are always going to say numbers are going to be the main thing you're going to need.
You got to have some good numbers. And this sponsorship deal is not about you, like, at all. This is not about your company. It is about their company and what you offer. Like, you're acting as a marketing agency. The sole purpose of them usually sponsoring is to sell product, to get new eyes, to correct some kind of press mess that they have going on, reputation recovery. So when you're going into it, we usually have a version of the deck that's in-house, right? So that's the version that's super robust, that's like, here are all of our data points. Here are all of the packages that we could offer these people, right? And that is definitely internal tool. Then you have your deck that you're pitching, which usually we don't create decks for our in-house clients until after a conversation has been had with the brand, because we don't know what you want. So that internal has all of the things that we think that you want, right? We're going to do this bomb activation. We're going to have this. We're going to have people flying on clouds and coming in from, the ceiling.
Right, this is not a Tyler Perry movie.
Right. We're going to have all this stuff, right? Like we want the whole portfolio of alcohol from you. And maybe, 20 people are going to show up. So,
yeah.
Right. So it's not about you. So that first call, you have that for internal. You can have a one sheet that you send about your event that gives them a preview, but we don't send decks until we have conversations with brands, because that's when they're like, oh, well, this is the problem we have. And then we solve it with that deck. And then we have the other call where we're like, oh, you said X, Y, and Z. This is what we came up to solve your problem. Because we don't like to do a lot of unnecessary work. Yeah. Right. So we make that first deck that has in it, demographics, locations. We're big on psychographics. How do people spend their money? How are your clients spending? What are they focusing on? Do they own homes? Like, are they going to be buying homes? Do they own cars? Are they going to be buying cars? Because then that speaks to who you can ask. Where are these people located? What are those top locations, right? Everything is virtual now, but you still have to buy things. You still have to buy insurance for your home and your car. You still have to, buy things for where you reside. So it makes sense to know that, because then you can ask sponsors who specifically need to either boost in that demographic and that location, for specific needs. So the overall deck that you create for yourself, that can be 20 pages, of everything. But when you're pitching, it needs to be highly customized to the exact brand that you're talking about. Hey, Frida.
I love it. Yes, you hit on some.
Hey, y'all.
You hit on some really great points, because when I first started in the industry, you never knew. You just sent out a deck and you hope for the best, but you don't really know, because you're telling the brand what it is that you want, but you've not asked them what it is that they want and how you can support them. And I've learned that over the years. And sometimes it works sending out like just the deck and going, but I've learned over the years it's really important, and for all those listening, to really take notes. You really want to ask the sponsor how you can help, how you can support them, what are their marketing needs like or initiatives are for this year, what kind of influencer campaigns are they working with, what kind of goals are they looking to hit. Really have that conversation, and like Anovia and Lily were saying, customize that deck to meet that brand's needs and show them that you're working with them in mind. And like Anovia said, it is not about you. Like, I need you to put that in the forefront of your mind. This is not about you. This is about how your brand or the brands you're reaching out to can participate at your event and feel like their needs or their problem was met. So when we talk about decks and we talk about sponsorship in particular, let's talk about the creative side of it. A lot of people, again, there are a lot of hard facts, hard stats, and key information that has to be solid, like almost like a financial pitch, almost like a business pitch. Solid information. But how can people get creative with their partnerships or activations within their decks? Because a lot of people they don't think beyond we just need liquor sponsors, we're just going to have a drink there. Like, how do people get creative with their activations? Can you guys provide a few tips or suggestions or examples of creativity?
Yeah, anyway. I think it depends on budget level of how creative you can get. One of my favorite activations was done by Sprite at a beach, and they had big Sprite bottles basically with shower heads that poured out Sprite, but it was water. So when you're leaving the beach, so sick. So when you're leaving the beach, you stop by at the Sprite, shower and rinse the sand off. So depending on what your event is, it's like nothing can be left out. We've done, some of the simple stuff like makeup refreshers. We've done, where we've decked out bathrooms with products. So you can go in and you can try, of course, pre-COVID, and you can try different things. So I think that the location that you're having it, the venue speaks to a lot of what you can do. We had an event with a great circular driveway. And when I pulled up, I was like, car dealership, we need to do test drives. Right. So alcohol was involved. So we had to schedule the test drives before that window. So it's like, once you come in, fill out this thing, And then for those people who had already consumed and thought about it, we did a VR experience. You can put this headset on and feel like you're in the car, right? So it really depends on what your budget is, what your capabilities are. But I love to activate. Like if I could activate all day, then I would probably just activate all day.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Budget is going to be like the biggest thing because you can do some really dope stuff if you have the money for it. I went to Culture Con, was it like 2 years ago, when the last one that was in person, and all the sponsors who were there were in like a big warehouse of like the sponsorship, almost like a sponsorship row, and every brand did their own activation. Obviously, they paid for it out of their own pocket, so that's one way to get people to activate in a certain way. Tell them, hey, you can pay for this amount of space and you can do whatever you want. So like Foot Locker did a whole basketball court and people came in and played basketball. Netflix showed up and they did, remember the show with, I think it was Cardi B and another people, it was like a rap show and it was like a rap contest show.
Yes.
But they did a whole activation where you go in, you record your 30-second song, go to the next part and record your video, and then you get your video on your phone. So those kind of things are really cool because it relates to the audience who's there, because Netflix has a ton of stuff there. But obviously, if it's more millennial, late Gen Z audience, they're going to be wanting to do things that are a little bit more younger, more hip, so it's going to do a lot of stuff that people want to do. And everybody wants to have something that they can post on Instagram. So when they make their activations, they're always making something very Instagrammable. Even HBO was there, and HBO did a whole setup where it looked like a background of a set, and you could just take pictures in each set. Like one was like a hair salon where you could sit under the hair dryer and look like you're doing your hair. One was like an actual movie set where it felt like you were in a movie. But these are the kind of things that people look for because they legit, a lot of people just want to post things on Instagram. Absolutely. And when a brand has something on Instagram or social media, it gives that brand more visibility. They're like, oh, so-and-so showed up and did this. I definitely got to go. One, I got to go to that event again. One, I got to check out what HBO is doing. So it's definitely a smart thing to, when you're thinking of activations, what will it look like in pictures? How will people interact with it? I think interaction is probably one of the biggest things that people can do because when it's fun, people are going to talk about it. Even Target set up a little store and they had like books and different things by Black-owned companies that were available for the goodie bag. So instead of giving you a goodie bag as soon as you walk in, you go into the Target line, you shop at Target, pick up the stuff and leave. So it was really cool the way that they designed it that way. And I think a lot of us can take some of those pointers of just feeling like, how can our audience interact with this? And will our audience go talk about it afterwards?
Absolutely. One of the biggest things that I've learned with activations, is it Instagrammable? Is it photo? Is there that photo bomb? Is that caption? One of the events, so we have something in Toronto called TIFF, which is the Toronto International Film Festival. And I partner with two really amazing companies to produce gifting suites. And I produced a candy suite because I noticed people are doing press junkets all day. So they're speaking about their film and they're in and out of hotels, or they're in and out of our warehouse that we've set up into this big glorious thing. And my computer was acting up. And one of the things I created was like a candy cart and a candy mart. So we had all these sweet carts around the room that had either like one had just straight chocolate. So I had M&M, all of the chocolates you could think of, Nestle. The other had like jujubes and candies. The other had tech stuff. And we had J-Lo actually come through because she was shooting, she was talking about Hustlers, and she actually put it in her, I guess, Hustlers documentary of her picking up all the candy. But we had celebrities and clients who were not even part of any of the films my client bought, heard about our candy cart, and they were coming to my client's studio just because they're like, can we get some candy? And I was just like, of course. So, think of cool things that activate or things that people need. Like we would put gum in the bathrooms when people are getting ready between their junkets and their press meetings, Listerine and all that stuff, so they can get their interviews done well. Think of practical things. So activations can be really big, y'all, or can be really small, but make it make sense to the audience that you're speaking to. And the small things or big things can go a long way. So now
I'm going to add something to what what Jackie said. And activations does not mean, drum roll, put logos on everything. That is not what we want to see in your decks at all, right?
Yeah. So you don't care about logos, baby.
We don't. Actual clean activations, like lead with that. When you see a deck with this many lines and this many of them are logo on this, logo on that, logo on this, we don't want it. I'd rather see a deck that has charging station with your logo on it, right? As opposed to that, like logos, literally we make one line item, logos in parentheses, website, flyer, and all of that stuff, because even combined, your logos on something, our logos on something equals like $1. Once you combine everything, so you can't charge me a $10,000 sponsorship package for $1 worth of product.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
No, like say it again, because people love to throw logos, and like I said, people don't care about step and repeat walls. We want to see an activation. Even think about when you're reaching out to brands, how can somebody, that brand manager, be on a panel, be a keynote, be a speaker, be a moderator? Can they have a digital booth somewhere or a actual booth somewhere? Can they actually activate and talk and share their product or brand? Like, make it make sense. As I know, I think it was Rochelle that was saying in the comments, make it make sense. So we talked about monetary sponsorship as that's one of the biggest ones. But the next one, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, and everyone does it differently, but the next biggest thing for me is product and liquor. I find outside of money, everyone wants a drink and everybody wants some goodies, right? So what are some key things people need to know when they're asking brands for product sponsorship or liquor sponsorship? Are there any gems and some things that you must ask or must do to get these brands to say yes?
Liquor is like my specialty.
Me as a liquor girl.
Food and beverage. I know that Eddie asked some questions earlier, so we can either hold that for Q&A or we can answer them as we go. But so beverages, including alcohol, one of the easiest ways is there's always new products being released, right? There's always some new flavor launch, especially before the summertime. Everybody's going to come out with a pineapple, a citrus, a blackberry, a something. Holiday, we're going to have your cranberries. We're going to have, your pumpkin spices, your cream de cocoa kind of thing. And it's really good to connect right before that, right? Maybe 3 or 4 months before I start hitting brands and saying, hey, do you have any new flavor launches coming up? Not last year, but 2019, we launched flavors for Jim Beam. We launched flavors for Dunkin' Donuts. They were coming out with 2 new, the pump squirts. It was like a cookie dough and something else. Because in consumer marketing, there's always something new coming out. Yeah. So you always want to catch a wave of, it could be a simple conversation, a simple email. I love your company. I wanted to know if we can get on a call and you can tell me about the next product rollouts that you have for the next year, if you can. And my demographic might meet some of them. And that's how we get everything done. Like alcohol, usually you need the marketing manager for your area. If it's a smaller event, I was recently, what do we call it? Honored, I guess, by Concierge.
Yeah.
Yes, girl. Congratulations.
You can go to my Instagram and look at the pictures at NoviB. But that was there under the Suntory Beam house. So the alcohol companies have so many different brands. And so one, you can talk to the agencies that represent them. In most states, the marketing has to go through an agency. So like in Florida and North Carolina and New York. So a lot of the times we're not always working with the brands in-house. I'm working with the agency. So here I work with this agency called like Hava Streets or something like that. It's a national company, but that's who I get my money from. Like that's who I get products from. So you want to work marketing, you want to work on I want to say lower level because I've been a marketing manager and we're bomb, but that's who you want to find if you need in-kind products, because they're the ones with the keys to the warehouse that has all the bottles, right? And also if it's in-kind and product, we always have like storage units full of stuff. I worked as a market manager at Vitamin Water as well, and our storage unit, it was us, it's Smart Water, Powerade, Vitamin Water. We would talk to the other managers and see what they had going on. Yo, what events you got next month? I'm short. And they would tell us, and we would double team and jump on. So that's why marketing managers' positions are super important, because they know my relationship with Zyko, with Pretzel Crisp, all happened from doing events and meeting them and then seeing, because honestly, just like most positions, people are lazy, right? If I know that you can make my job easier, I'm gonna go with that. So you would see, it would be like 5 kettle chips. It would be a bunch of us that would just do all the same events because it would be easy. And we needed to get products off. When I was with Vitamin Water, we launched 2 flavors. So my job was to get 1 million bottles into people's hands in like a 9-month period. So all I was doing was, arranging.
Yep.
So you in New York City, if you were there during that time, you could not get on a train without seeing our advertisements at every single train station. It was like a complete takeover. So you want to go with your marketing manager for something that's bigger scale, then you can go up. But if it's like statewide, then the marketing managers come together and they can share budgets. So some of the stuff we do here, we get pieces from Raleigh's budget. We get pieces from Charlotte's budget. We get pieces maybe from like Rock Hill or something like that to combine. So you want to get in, you want to see what flavors are coming out, and you want to get with the marketing managers in your area.
For sure. Lily, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah. Also, if you're looking for just like any type of product, like branded product from a corporation, coming from someone who works for a corporation, there's a bunch of branded stuff in the closet, girl. You can get like, especially I worked for telecom and finance. We've had like chargers, like wireless chargers, water bottles, anything. These are the things that you can put into like goodie bags that you don't have to pay for. If they can give you a branded bag, let them give you a branded bag, girl. You could give the ticket. Like they have that stuff in the closet.
Yes.
Like, you know how many pens? They have a pen everywhere. Let them give you a pen. Let them give you a notebook because they have it. It's an easy thing for them. All they have to do is literally ship it to you. It's not a heavy lift. So if you need stuff for your goodie bags, ask these corporations, hey, can you send me 1,000 notebooks? They'll be like, yes, we have 1 million that we're trying to get rid of.
Yep.
So,
always ask for marketing material. Like, what marketing materials do you have? Bumble is great. I've partnered with Bumble a lot. They sent me a box of yellow champagne glasses, flute. Yeah, they're plastic, but they cute. Notebooks, chargers. You know, those good for those outdoor parties. Notebooks, chargers. They send you stuff, and then they have branded bags. So I don't have to pay and get my brand done it. Or you ask them, hey, do you mind if I get my logo screen printed on the bag? But even that's not even worth it. Just fling everything in the bag and do what you want to do. So there's so many opportunities. So I know I've seen some questions in the chat, but I have some questions here that will answer some of these questions. So one of the things I get all the time, I get this in my DM, I get this when I do a conference or people talk to me. One of the comments I get or lines is, Jackie, how do I find sponsors and how do I get their contact? Who do I need to reach out to put my deck in their hands or to talk to them about my opportunity? So can you guys share? I know Lily dropped and Novia, both y'all dropped some coin and some gems. I hope y'all were taking notes about marketing managers and certain people, but who else should people be looking for and how can they find them? Anybody can start.
You can look for anybody. Honestly, when I worked in corporate, I usually worked in the marketing department, so it would come to me. But sometimes, like the sales team would come and say, like, "Hey, so and so has reached out to us to participate in this event. Can we do it?" Sales has a bigger budget than marketing does, so I said, "I'll help y'all organize if it's coming out of your budget, sure." So just be aware of like what corporate budgets looks like. Just for insight, marketing budget is good, but it usually goes first when they have to cut money. So marketing might not always have the money, but sales might, or like some other department might. I just know sales because sales always gets the most money because that's usually the driving force in a sales-driven company. So they usually have a big budget. So if you've got a sales rep, even they'll go to their manager and say, like, "Can my customer wants us to sponsor this? Can we do it?" No, they sponsored everything. They sponsored golf tournaments, like charity events that we had no business being at, but we did it because they wanted to. So please don't be so stuck on marketing managers. Marketing managers are helpful because they know a lot of people. Like Enovia said, they usually, like as marketing managers, we usually know each other who are marketing managers. So if I leave a marketing manager job here, I might go to another one at another company and you still have that connect. So knowing marketing managers is super important, but don't be shy in looking at other places.
Yeah, especially for money. So for the products that marketing managers hold, this is what you want to use them for. Because at V-Dub, when I tell you our warehouse, we had beach chairs, we had umbrellas, like we had all, and we would have to clear out the warehouse at the end of a season. So we would look for stuff like, is anybody having a volleyball game that we could give these 40 beach chairs to? Like we had chapstick, we had lip gloss, we had basically everything. So you want to use them for that. Now, if you're at a point in your company where you're pitching for money, and when I say point at your company, I mean like maybe 2 to 4 years into running your company, hosting your events, you've already done some in kind, and now you're ready to transition. If you can't transition with the people that you've gotten in kind from, find the department that matches best for you. Sometimes it's sales, sometimes it's marketing. If you're a 501c3, your philanthropy, you're coming out of a completely different budget because sponsorship is a marketing line item for most of the time, but everybody has money. So I've gotten money from cafeterias. I've gotten money from D&I. I've gotten money from legal. Okay, I've got money from legal. I will take money from the security budget wherever.
Stop it. Leave security alone.
Wherever there is money, HR, recruiting departments, because what if you're doing college campus recruiting, right? You're trying to get people to sign up and get them into your pipeline. You can sponsor this event that's going to have 300 college students, right? Your money is not coming from marketing. So you got to find what department fits best. For my company that got acquired earlier this year, a lot of what we did was HR and recruiting. Like most of our sponsorship dollars, because we have technologists, we have engineers. So we're like, you want this kind of access, you got to sponsor us. Your marketing doesn't have a budget, send me to D&I, send me to recruiting, send me to HR, because y'all all have budgets for what you want to spend it on. So you got to figure out what your match is and think everybody's going to marketing. Literally every person is on LinkedIn. Like, who's the marketing director? Who's the VP of marketing? And that's why you start low and build that relationship, because that marketing manager will advocate for you inside. That VP is probably not going to respond, right?
And they don't even know.
They don't even know. And when building connections, talk to your friends. We all have friends that work at companies and say, hey, would you mind? And that'll let you know if your friend trusts you, right? Would you mind introducing me to somebody at marketing at your job? And if they be like, I don't know, then you need to look at your business and ask them, well, what do I need to do for you to feel comfortable to introduce me?
Exactly.
Because I have people all the time that's like, can you introduce me? Like, no, I sure can't, because you're not going to ruin my reputation.
And reputation is important. Also, another position to look into is diversity and inclusion teams as well. A lot of companies now, especially with everything that was transpired over the last couple of years in particular, there's a lot more diversity inclusion managers and people out there. And again, sometimes they have smaller budgets, but like Lily was saying, they will pull from other budgets to accumulate and see what's happening. And if you're outreaching and you, for whatever reason, don't have the right contact, I always preference with, hey, Lily, I know you may not be the right contact for this. I'm not here to waste your time. Are you able to put me in contact with somebody in the sales or marketing department? And a lot of the times, if you can preference and start with that and let them know you respect their time, they're more likely to either CC that person or forward it over on your behalf. And that's also great, because things being sent internal is always what you want, because it's if I'm sending it over, it means it's possibly a good opportunity for you, right?
Absolutely.
So people, where am I? Sorry, I just want to make sure I got my questions right. Okay, so we did talk about sponsorships and partnerships, but what do people need to know before they go ahead and pitch a brand? Like, what are the key? I know we kind of glossed over it, but can we give some real key facts of what people need to know before pitching? Like, how long should a pitch be? What should really be in your pitch? Because y'all, I be getting novels, okay? And I love to read. The Virgo in me loves a good book, but I need to understand what's going on. One of the things I really talk about, and this is a journalistic thing, but I think it applies, is your who, what, when, where, why, how, and value. Those 7 key components are like your 30-second pitch, but literally you should be able to knock out who you are, what you do, how you do it, why you do it, where you're going to do it, what your unique value opportunity is, and make it make sense. So can you guys share some things of how people, what people need to have before they start pitching sponsors?
Yeah, one of the things I like to tell people, especially for my church folks, be Psalm 117, not Psalm 119, okay?
Stop it.
Because y'all know Psalm 117, boom, boom, done. Psalm 119 is okay. Listen, you need to be Psalm 117, okay? If you can get those quick hits so people can easily read it, that's probably the best way you want to start. Because I know, coming from my end, if I can't figure out what you're doing within like the first 30 seconds or so, I'm going to delete it and I'm not going to read it. If it's giving me a whole like song and dance about, we started this because one time when I went to sleep, I had a dream. And then the dream said, I don't really care. I just want to know what it is, how my company can probably make money, and how I can talk to you. So like, please, no. Give me short and sweet, because if I need more information, I'm going to definitely set up a meeting with you. The deck shouldn't tell me everything. You should, like, if you presented anywhere, even if when you're doing like reviews with like leadership in corporate America, you don't put everything on the slide. You usually put things in the notes. Talk to me about your event. Obviously, when I talk to you on the phone, you're going to be passionate. You're going to give me all the information that I need, but I don't really need to see every single detail, like down to the wire in a deck. That's for you. For me, as someone who's reading it and giving you money, give me the top things I need to know. What you're actually doing, your data, like what audience am I reaching? Does this audience match me? And how can I find you? And what kind of cost can I estimate that it would be? And sometimes the cost doesn't matter, because if you compelled me with what the event is and like the meat of the audience, if it makes sense for me, I'm gonna spend. Corporations have money to spend. If it really makes sense, even if you give them like $100,000 might be worth less to them. They might want to give $2,000. If it's worth it based on what you're giving them, they'll give you the money for it.
And you know what? I know Novia has some points, but I also wanted to talk about tiered structures versus non-tiered structures. Because remember, tiered used to be the thing. You had to come with your 3 tiers, your platinum, gold, and your bronze. You had to come with all the structures. But then over the past 2 years, we've heard dash away the tiers. I don't want to do that. But before we get to that, Novia, did you have any points or on what we were talking about previously, or? No.
Nope. Death to the tiers is what I say.
So why, for those who do not know, why are we throwing the tiers away? Why are we dashing them to the curbside like dirty shirts? And how are you presenting what money you're looking for in your deck without the tiers? How does somebody do that?
Tiers are very barbaric to me, right? It's very generic and barbaric and very like, I don't want to actually have to think about you, right?
Not just saying barbaric.
It is. It's like,
I'm digital pearls. I was like so taken back. I was like, Jesus.
I mean, as far as technology has come, like you can't get creative enough to give me a package. So here's the thing with tiers, right? If you like, let's do the tier setup, right? So we got our bronze, that's 500. We got our silver, that's 2,500, and we got our gold, that's 7,500. You're telling me you're going to give me access to the same exact people, and I can pay you $250 for the same thing you want to charge? I'm always going to go low, especially if I don't know you, right? So I don't recommend. That's what that in-house deck is for. Your in-house deck is where you put your packages with those numbers, so you have them in mind, and then you pick which one you want to pitch, right? When you think about it, marketers take less than 2 minutes to look at decks. A marketer like me, 30 seconds, I'm in and out. Like I'm clicking through by page 3. I don't know what you're saying. I'm deleting you. So all of your hard work on this 28 pages, I'm not looking at, right? So, and one of the pages I'm going to go to, if I make it to page 3 or 4 and you got me, I'm skipping that middle. I'm going to demographics, right? So I'm gonna get here. By now, I should be at your demographics and your social by page 4, right? And I'm gonna say, okay, if you have press, I'm gonna look for your press. I'm gonna go to your pricing page, and then I'm gonna find out who you are. So when I'm at your pricing page and you giving me all these options, and I'm reading, and I'm like, logo on this, logo, 2 logos on stuff in the first lines, you lost me. Give me the package, right? That's it. Because that's it. I get to that meat package where it's like, this package was customized for you. We want to do a charging station with you. We want to do a photo booth. And now I'm like, okay, because you haven't said anything about logos in this first thing. Let me see what this is about, right? I always do a starting at price, but then also this is why that conversation with the brand is important, because when you have that initial conversation and you see what they need, that's when you can say, well, what is your budget for something like this? Because if you're looking for, a $500,000 budget and they got 75,000, you know what to put in that deck that you can do for 75, right? Or you might walk away and say, I don't want to do this. So that conversation and building that relationship is so important, because you need to know what to price, right? You need to be able to give an estimate and an actual, it's basically your quote, right? I've spoken to you. I know you got 50,000 to spend. This is what I got for you for your 50,000. If you want more, we could talk about that more conversation, but when you're giving me tiers, most likely I'm always going to go cheap. You know what I do? What I used to do when I would see tiers, I would always just offer product, because I know that if you have a low option and a high option, you're not getting what you're supposed to get. So I can just give you product and come in for free.
Yeah. And a lot of product sponsors, like there's some people who charge a cap for participation in gift bags, but more time that's considered, people just look at products as in kind, and people are just excited. And brands, let me tell you something, you can charge for product inclusion in a bag, but a lot of people think exactly. A lot of people, and you'll be surprised, brands will give you the woodwork. When I first started, I had a big company send me 7 crates. My neighbors thought I was a drug dealer. They sent me 7 crates. I kid you not. I kid you guys not. The police were actually called and came to my house because they thought I was laundering stuff. Because
you got powers, girl.
Let me tell you. And so I didn't realize this is in my early days, I didn't realize I can charge for brand bag inclusion, especially if they're getting in the hands of big influencers or celebrities. So you can definitely charge for a lot of things. But let me tell you, as Anovia said, people want to get, if they can get away for less or free with you, and they know that you don't know your worth and you don't know what the hell you're asking, because I've done it. I'm like, you guys want this? How about I give you a bunch of watches?
It's our job to do it. It's our job to come in under budget. So if you're giving me tiers, I'm coming back with under my budget so my boss is happy and I can use, because let me tell you, our marketers, we always know what we want to spend next, right? We have a certain amount of money that is earmarked for things that we always spend. We're always going to sponsor these events. We got 5-year, 7-year, 10-year contracts with people. That just is what it is. And then depending on your budget side, you might have some play money. So we had about $250,000 in play that we could use. I knew exactly what software I was going to use. So I either can give you some of that money or I can use it for what I want. Oh, you're going to get these phones. You're going to get these
Absolutely.
I'm going to get myself.
Absolutely.
So and when I was doing it, we build everything to sales. They were like, well, sales wants to do all these events. We're going to build everything to sales. And then marketing is just keep our budget for the stuff we want. So,
yep. And again, you got to know the people in power, y'all. You got to know the people in power and what positions they hold. It's like chess. You really got to play your role right. So we have a few questions from the chat and in the Q&A box. I know we didn't get to all of our questions because we could be on this for like 3-4 hours. But I also want to throw a pin in this. Y'all need to be following Lily, following Novia, following myself. You know, some great things are coming out of both these ladies and myself and joint later on. But, you know, I'm going to leave that there. Just, you know, keep up to date because you don't know what we got coming out. But few questions that I wanted to throw from the Q&A. So Denise Griffin asked, my target audience is very different. Do you have any partnership ideas for women 40 plus virtual fitness business and undeserved communities? Any ideas?
Yeah, 40 plus fitness, that's easy. Y'all got money. AARP is like the stuff that AARP has been sponsoring since 2020, like they're on the move because they see that demographic. Like 40, you're about to be retiring in 15 years. They need that buy-in now. So you have that. Insurance companies are a given. If you notice, no matter what kind of event you're at, there's always an insurance company. Always. Yeah,
because
always. They always have money. They have one of the biggest budgets. Financial companies. Everyone is investing stock. So you have a good pool. You can go the aerosol direction. You can talk to sneaker companies. You can get water. You can get vitamins. Girl,
yeah, yoga mat.
You can get yoga mats. You can get candles. Yeah. You can get CBD cream for your back for after you work out. You can get all those things.
And that goes into like knowing your audience. So take a poll of your audience if you haven't already. Survey them. Like I know people always, how do I find out my audience data? Ask them. Send out a little survey. Email us and say like, hey, what brands do you like? What activities do you like? These are things that could easily inform them. Like you can look at like, what do you usually carry around? What water bottle do you like? What water do you like? You could get Essentia or something. They're always sponsoring something. So
listen, surveying is one of the biggest things. I always tell people, we think we know what our audience wants and you actually don't because you've never asked them. It's just like asking a sponsor. Pull up on your Instagram. Why do you follow me? What kind of events would you like to see me produce? What kind of things are you, like Lily said, I was working on something. We have Caravana out here in Canada. And, you know, festival, I'm Caribbean background. So we like to jump up. Listen, when Canada lets us be great and opens up the border, y'all got to come over. But I was doing the survival bags for Caravana. So how to survive post-carnival bags. And I asked everybody on my Instagram, what do you need to get through Caravana weekend and then get through the next 2 days at work when you got to go back? People were telling me Tylenol. Listen, people were telling me Tylenol, electrolyte, you know, all of these things. So I was able to go through these brands and be like, hey, listen. And then obviously Caravana got shut down because of COVID, but I had about 40 brands on the roster willing to give me stuff. And I knew it because I was able to screenshot those answers and say, I know these people want these things. All right. So next question we have is from eCloset LLC. Should I, as the person asking for sponsorship, be the one to think of the activation, or would it be a collaborative process with the sponsor?
So it really works different depending on the person and the brand. Yeah. Like we've worked with companies that want turnkey, which is most, but we worked with companies, Hennessy for Art Basel. By the time we were done, I was like, this is not even the event that we pitched. Like we did it and it was really successful, but it was, and because they're very particular, right? The whole company is ATOP for the most part. And so it really depends. And that is why that conversation is so important. So you can ask those questions like, we do have turnkey options, or would your creative team want to be involved? Like you can you can ask them anything. I'm a very candid person, as you can see. So when I'm on the phone with brands, I'm asking direct questions, very direct. Like, listen, are you going to be all up in the sauce, or am I going to be able to mix it myself? Because I need to know how to work with you, right? Because I want a long-term relationship. And I want to clear these things from the jump. So that's kind of brand specific.
That's such a good point, Via, because I'm thinking about when I worked in marketing. One company, we did everything like soup to nuts ourselves. Like we would come up with concepts and do everything and show up. When I worked for another company, they're like, yeah, we have an agency that does that. Hire the agency and let them come up with something. So it's very different depending on who you're talking to. You might have a marketer who's like super creative and is more of like the creative director type. Or you might have a company where they not necessarily depend on their marketers to be super creative, but to be able to work with an agency that's super creative. So it all depends.
Okay. It really does, because every marketer is different, right? Especially with your skill set. And activations are fun. But when I got into marketing, I was like, oh, let me go in-house and see. It's a lot more numbers and Excel sheets than I ever expected. Yeah. So we don't get to be as creative all the time as we would like to, because literally our jobs are numbers. So, so a lot of the time it's fun for us. So sometimes it's an outlet, but then sometimes we might not have time. So that was a great point, especially using agencies, because that happens a lot.
Yes, and a note about agencies. Like I know Anovi had mentioned it earlier too. A lot of people think you got to go straight to Coca-Cola to get a contact or an answer. There's a lot of agencies that manage a slew of brands. So start looking at the agencies that represent Starbucks or those companies in your district, in your area, within your town, and reach out to them, because I work with a few agencies to get stuff, because reaching out to somebody at Nestle's worried about overall corporate stuff, and they have divisions for that. So it's easier to reach out to those divisions. Eddie Precise Lamar or Lemaire, please forgive me if I'm saying it wrong. As a marketer, what will you always sponsor?
It depends on the brand for me.
Yeah, it depends. Eddie, I feel like you're Haitian because your name is giving me Haiti. So if you are, ça passe. But as a marketer for us, it depends on my company. So for my company, I worked actually in marketing for B2B. So that's another thing. Think about where in marketing they're working. So you might have a consumer marketer, you might have a B2B marketer, you might have enterprise marketer who handles like the huge stuff. So all of us are not one big happy family. We're all different, and we all have different budgets that come from different places. So think about marketing in certain departments. But we would always sponsor anything that had to do with business generally. If it was like a chamber, if let's say the US chamber came up to me and said like, hey, we want to do something, we're always going to do it. We would. Also, if it was something that was mandated from like up top. So if senior leadership would come down and say, every year we're going to be doing this, we always did that. There was like, I think like the police athletic league or something. We really didn't need to sponsor them, but they had a friend in a high place. So every year, like clockwork, we were signing a check of $100,000. Even like top leaders were like, I don't know why we're doing this, but we are. And it would be like a whole year of trying to go through the 501c3 process to cut them a check. But it's because they knew someone in a high place. So it really all depends. And I think all of us have kind of said like relationships are a big thing. If you have a relationship with someone, they can make you like a line item for a while, because I have definitely seen that. I've been annoyed by some of them. Like, this doesn't make sense, but we're doing it because XYZ said so. So make friends, okay? Make friends.
I was just going to say, that's one thing. What I will always sponsor is what my friends are doing. I will find a way to make it make sense at whatever company I'm working with. I have one contact who started off at like Pretzel Crisp, worked with them. She went to Perfect Bar, worked with them. She's at Beyond Meat, work with them. Like no matter where she goes, she's gonna work with them.
Right. I love it. So Eddie did say Eddie is Haitian. So he said something in the event chat. I don't want to say it wrong, but Napboule. I don't know how to pronounce that. Okay, yes, I have heard that he is Haitian. Look at you picking up on your people. Okay, I know. It's like I know the Jamaicans and Bajans because I'm half Jamaican, half Bajan. I know them when I see them. I'm like, you Bajan, you my kinfolk, you out there. So. We have one more question and then we're going to wrap it up and then I'm going to let people know how they can contact you. There still is questions in the chat. So ladies, please stay, feel free to stay and, go into the event and actually respond to people. You can join the networking. And if you guys do the networking roulette, there's a chance that you guys will meet Lily or Novia or myself, because this has been a great conversation that unfortunately, we could be here all day talking about this. But Sunita Williams says, my target audience is vegan Black women, 25 to 35. What is a good non-food company to seek sponsorship?
I have a lot of vegan clients and we do everything. So financial companies are always good. Non-food, vitamins are not food, anything wellness related. You can do like a Fitbit is a good company. Any of those wearable technology kind of companies, clothing that is made out of vegan materials, eco-friendly cars. Like there are so many options.
Yeah, definitely think of like just because someone's vegan doesn't mean they're not a person. So they do things. They have families. They go to parties probably. Just think about all the activities that they do and the brands that they like and ask them. Like literally ask your audience to say like, what's your favorite brand? Reach out to them and say like, hey, I have 70% of my people who buy X amount of things from you. You should come on board, baby. You should come.
Makeup is good. Makeup and skincare.
Yes, makeup. Yep.
Yeah.
Skincare and makeup. We've done a lot of those deals.
So Sunita, long story short, reach out to Anovia, talk to her later on. She might be able to put you on game. And Sunita, I see that you wrote you're half Bajan and Jamaican. I'm sure we're cousins. So as far as the world knows today, you and I are kinfolk. So that is it. But ladies, you guys are my sisters in sponsorship, and I'm just so honored and pleased. And again, thank you both so much for giving me your time this morning. Both of these ladies are extremely busy, and I'm honored that they were able to give me a little of their time today. But since I've met these ladies on Clubhouse, they've been nothing but gracious, giving me the opportunity to share my wisdom. And I've always felt very comfortable with you guys. I've always felt like I belong somewhere, and I know I never told you guys that. So thank you guys for that opportunity. And I know we've never met in person, but I mean, just the love I've gotten from you guys online has always just seemed genuine. And I can say openly and honestly that if you guys reach out to either one of these ladies, and myself, I'm not mean, but if you reach out to either one of these ladies, I'm never mean, but people sometimes think I am. I was just like, guys, I'm not mean. They are always willing to give advice. And what's crazy is the three of us literally do the same thing. We just all have different vibes, but I've never felt a competition. I've never felt like I've asked them questions and they've always shared their insights with me, and it's like nothing. And those are the type of people you want in your tribe, y'all. Those are the type of people you want around you that are not selfish. And I will say these both ladies have never been selfish from anything I've experienced over the last couple months with them. So please follow at novib.b on Instagram.
Make me cry. I feel so loved.
No, but to be honest, like I'm talking straight facts. Like we've met online. Y'all show me love on. Like I feel like I've known you guys forever, and it's really only been a couple of months. And I'm still like, I sometimes feel like I don't really know what I'm doing in this industry. And anytime I ask a question, y'all, here's my deck. Look at what I've done, and I'm like, yo, y'all are sharing this with little old me, and it goes to show the quality of just how authentic and genuine both these ladies are. So please tap in with at Lily Doxy on Instagram, at Novey, NOVEY.B on Instagram, at Is Well Connected. Tap in with us. Hit us up, guys. I'm telling you, you'll not be disappointed by talking to either of these ladies. So thank y'all.
Thank you. Listen to our podcast too.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
They have a podcast where they're dropping all the gems, y'all. So stay tuned Check them out. Follow them. You ladies, when I close the stage, stay back here for a second. But thank you all for participating. Eddie, Sunita, Rochelle, Joey, everybody for just commenting and showing us love. Thank you guys so much. And stay tuned for the rest of Design and Dialogue with Rolling Out. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Peace.